Now the second side is the right side, which today I have told that I will tell you about. The gentleman is not here who asked so many questions. Is he here? He was just busy asking questions, that's all yesterday. He's not interested in speaking, I think. Alright. Now the second side, on the right hand side, is the power by which we act. First we desire and then we act. Now this power, right side power, is expressed within us as right sympathetic nervous system. Science has come from the same. Science is in the growth, these are all subtle things that are within us. Now this right side power, which exists within us, gives us the power for our mental and physical capacity to act. Now this action takes place when we desire something, we want to implement that desire, then we go into action. One has to understand what sort of a power is this. This power is called as Prana Shakti in Sanskrit, Prana. And the another one, the left one, as Mana Shakti, is the power of the emotions, or can say of the mind. But you see, English language is not so clear cut about it. So I would say Mana Shakti and a Prana Shakti. These are the two powers that exist within us, and we start using them as left and right. We can say like a brake and an accelerator, and then we become the master of driving. But while becoming that, we make mistakes. The human mind has a speciality to go to extremes. Supposing I tell somebody, now you have to meditate. They'll meditate for 5 hours. There is no need to meditate for 5 hours or anything. But if you tell them that you have to stand on your head, they'll do it for 10 hours. So there is no need to go to extremes. We have to be just in the center, be kind to our body, be kind to ourselves. There's nothing to be frantic about. There's nothing to be so much exasperated about it. It's just very simple thing that has to happen. For example, think of a seed which is sold in a very loud music, or say a place where everybody is rushing, shouting, screaming. What will happen? That seed will never sprout. If it is in a peaceful place, is a properly placed one, or not in a tilted pot, then it will definitely develop into a beautiful tree or a beautiful shrub, whatever it has to develop into. In the same way, if we are too much on the extremes, we go to the left and to the right. Now going to the left, I told you yesterday what happens, that all these things like hypnosis and ESPs and most of these gurus try these tricks, you see, like they just make you hypnotized and people become absolutely mad over the guru. He's our guru, and they behave just like absolutely people without any brains. So I feel nice with it. The reason is that you feel there's a sort of a sense of security built in this gentleman, and if I'm following him, see, he's going to heaven and I'm going with him to heaven. It doesn't happen like that. You have to individually go into heaven yourself, and you have to become your own guru, and you have to know everything about it. It's not that anybody can put a trailer behind and put some people into it and say, now come along, I'm going to heaven. Most of these people are really going to hell, and you will follow them very fast. So it is never so, believe me, that anybody who says that following a certain guru will go to heaven is absolutely wrong. You must follow in the principle, and every guru who is a real guru will always tell you that you have to become something. He will never just say, alright, you've given me the money, alright, you are the member, now you are my child, now you are my disciple, and I'll give you my love. Let's have love. Where is the love? And give more money, give me Rolls Royces, give me this, give me that. And like mad, we are doing it thinking that we can exchange this. Now, as we are seekers, we have every right to find our spirits. And we are not to be deluded by any such tricks and pranks of these people, or I would say very sinister methods that they are employing. Not only to deceive you for money. I don't mind, there are smugglers, let them have money what they want to have. But they spoil your chances of realization, which you do not realize. And once they are spoiled, it's very difficult to do realization. And if you do not really positively work it out, it's going to be impossible situation. I've seen people who have suffered on account of this. Now this action within us acts for our mental and physical capacities on the right hand side. Like we think of the future. Now we're planning, we start. It's planning. Now we must do this tomorrow or day after tomorrow. We have to do it, and we start sitting. Now I'll go there and I'll find this, and then I'll take a ticket, and then I'll go there. I mean, our mind is working for the future. So much so we become absolutely futuristic. To such an extent, sometimes I've met people who are futuristic, they even forget their own names. Can you believe it? I mean, they don't even remember their father's name, that's all right, but even their own names they forget. I mean, they are like mad because they don't remember their own names and they don't know where are they, what are they doing. I have met people of that kind who are really sick people because they have become so futuristic now that they do not know anything about their past. Now, this futuristic behavior starts in a society where people always think of the future. What will I do? What am I to do tomorrow? What am I to achieve tomorrow? And all these things, when they start doing, their attention goes to the right extreme. Now, in this place, we are very dangerously placed. Very dangerously placed when we start looking for the future. And the future seeing is a imaginary stuff. Is absolutely imaginary. Because what you think of the future doesn't exist. What exists is the present. You have to be in the present, not in the future. But people will say you have to be in the present. But how? We cannot. Either we are in the past or in the future. Because when the thought wave rises, it comes up and goes down. Another thought wave rises, goes up and comes down. Now, this thought wave which comes up, we go with it, but we don't see it's going down. Another thought wave that rises, we see that, but we don't see where it goes out. And so we are jumping on the cusp of these thoughts and we do not know. Perhaps we are in the past or perhaps in the future. But in the center of these two thoughts, there is the present. And we don't know how to take our attention there, which is a very difficult thing. And just to say that you should be in the center is not possible. All these things, you should do this, you should do that, is not going to work out. Unless and until there is light. For example, there is no light in this room. And you say, walk straight. You cannot walk because you can't see where is the passage, how to walk. Even if you order, do whatever you please, you cannot just walk straight without touching any of these chairs because there is no light, you can't see. So, one has to understand that in the futuristic life when we live, when we plan too much for the future, actually what we are doing, we are living in an imaginary world. We have many stories of people who lived in imaginary worlds and how they found that everything was destroyed. And there are people who work it out through their physical efforts, and when they go into their physical efforts, they create another problem for them because they just become physically oriented. And if you are just physically oriented, the spirit gets angry. So the right side movement is for the people who are very meticulous, you see, which you can call the people who are very particular about the time, and who are very firm about things, who are very dry people, and who are very straight and they won't tolerate any nonsense, that sort of people, you see, that you find normally, and that sort of people become a headache and they are very boring. You can't just bear their company, they can be very boring people. And they give you big lectures about how to be straightforward and how to walk straight, absolutely. In the nature, nothing is straight. It all moves so beautifully because the nature is created out of varieties. And variety brings the beauty. They don't think of beauty, they don't think of love or compassion, nothing. For them it is a very meticulous world, and that's how they live. Such people are developing a big ego within themselves, as you see there in the yellow stuff in the head, called as ego. Let me show. By the action of the left side, emotional side, we develop a superego, but by the action of the right side, we develop an ego. Now this ego is not easy to be seen, because if you have a superego, you have pains in the body, you are a miserable person, you have wrinkles on the face, and you look absolutely worn out. But if you have ego, then you look so dynamic. We can say that Hitler was the extreme. of this ego business. And he got into his head that he is some sort of a God incarnation, and that he has to save the people, and he was the one who knows about races and everything, and he is supposed to save some race. This kind of idea comes from these people who are right-sided. They are very aggressive. They may be very good to talk to. They may be very humble to look at. Could be very good businessmen. Could be anything. But they do not know that they have this Mr. Ego coming up on their heads just like a big balloon, and they are floating in the air. The end of ego is stupidity. You will be surprised. The end of ego is stupidity. Such people end up into all kinds of stupid things, and they say, what's wrong? For example, I've known old people behaving in so stupid ways, and they say, what's wrong? An old man, say, of 90 years, who can't even walk without a stake, stakes to these dances you do, and then he falls down, you see, and he thinks, what's wrong? Like a lady I knew, she was about 85, she died from a horse falling down. Naturally, what else do you expect at 85? That's what is evident. For a lady of 85, she should settle down at home, look after her grandchildren. Maybe she might have great-grandchildren, you see. Instead of that, why does she want to be 25-year-old lady to climb on a horse? So all such stupid things they do, and then they will say, what's wrong? There's nothing wrong in stupidity, what's wrong? But such people are a nuisance to the society, to others. The people who are superego are troublesome to themselves, but those are egoistical are troublesome to others. They are all the time correcting others, torturing others, putting their ideas onto other people, and such people can be very, very successful, because nothing succeeds like success. They go on hammering things into the heads of people, saying, now this is true, and when you go on saying it, you should suddenly believe, yes, must be so. And such people are much more dangerous, I would say, from the superego type. But for people who do not know the tricks of the superego, they can be very, very, very dangerous, because they are very subtle. You cannot see them. They mesmerize, and they can possess you, and they can be very sly, and they can work out all sorts of methods which you are not aware of. So it is not easy to choose which is better, which is not better. Both things are wrong to go to extremes on the right or to the left. Now let's see what happens physically. As I told about the cancer on the left hand side that we do. Physically, what happens to people who are futuristic? We have a center especially for futuristic behavior called the Swadhisthana chakra, which is in the gross, manifesting the plexus called the aortic plexus within us. Now this Swadhisthana chakra is very important for human beings, especially for people who are developed people. With this chakra, actually, we convert the fat of the stomach for the use of the brain. Now this is the center of the Surya, of the sun. Now when we start thinking, these cells are converted in such a way that they become useful to the brain. Now, if you are thinking all the time you are thinking, then what will happen? I mean, the horns are not going to grow out of that. You are consuming all that. And when you are consuming all those cells, you have to have replacement. And for that replacement, this Swadhisthana chakra has to work very hard to convert the cells for the use of your brain. Now, when it is doing that, there are other things which this Swadhisthana chakra has to look after. For example, your liver, your pancreas, your spleen, your kidneys, all are to be looked after by this center, and also uterus for the ladies. Now, when there's only one work is given to this Swadhisthana chakra, and it cannot do any other work, then other things are neglected, so you develop a terrible disease called liver trouble. Now liver trouble is another thing that you do not feel yourself. Others know that you are liverish, the way you are hot-tempered, the way you are fussy, the way you always snarl at people, and the way you are never satisfied with anything. the way you criticize others, all this is liverish. And such liverish people are never happy with themselves because liver looks after their attention. And those who have liver problems, their attention is horrid. That goes like this. You cannot keep your attention straight. On the street you will walk straight into a car because you are looking at something which you are not supposed to look. But all the time you are looking at like this, you cannot walk. I mean, you won't find any animal like that who walks like this, but only human beings do it. If you see them on the street, you'll be amazed, where are they walking? They don't walk straight, they don't walk straight, but their eyes are going this way, that way, because the attention is wobbly. The attention is wobbly because of a bad liver. So this liver is a very, very important thing. Now this liver has a special capacity to extract all the poisons from the body as heat. And the heat in the body is to be transformed or should be conveyed to the blood or the water in the blood, and that has to be taken out of your body, maybe as perspiration or in another forms. But what happens? That when this liver is out of gear, it cannot pass this heat into the bloodstream, and the heat remains in the body, and you really become heated, and that heat makes all these problems for you. So in Sahaja Yoga, what happens that when Kundalini rises, she changes the form of the blood. The hydrogen and oxygen which are placed because of this heat and all that, in a very funny way, like this, like that, and they start receiving this heat within them. That's why those people who have bad livers feel little heat when the Kundalini rises. But one can cure it by giving it that peace and comfort to that liver organ, and you can definitely cure your liver, no doubt about it. Then the second thing that happens to you is the pancreas, which gives you diabetes. Only a person who thinks too much gets diabetes. For example, an Indian farmer doesn't know what diabetes is, but then you stop your sugar. But that's not the way to stop your diabetes. Diabetes comes to you because you think too much. The doctors won't understand this. That's why they say it is incurable. But because they cannot connect thinking with the disease. And this is what happens. When you are all the time thinking like mad, then diabetes takes place. And this diabetes is also curable if you get your enlightenment. You can cure also the diabetes of other people, but because this vital power, which is integrated of all these three powers, flows through you, and you can replenish, you can give more to other people who are exhausted of it, and sort of you can fill them up with this power, and you can cure. The third one is the worst of all that happens to people is blood cancer because of spleen. Spleen is one thing very important, that it is the center of peace within us. The one who doesn't have a proper spleen cannot be a peaceful person. Now, it's a very simple thing, but doctors cannot connect it, nor all science-oriented people can connect it to something very, very simple. And the simple thing is that when we eat our food, if we are frantic, we are out to get trouble with the spleen, and we can get blood cancer. Now, if the mother is of that temperament or a father is of that temperament, the children might be born with blood cancer. Now, we will be happy to tell you that in New York, we had a case of blood cancer. And when I was in India, in a village, somebody came and told me that such and such boy is sick. He's only 16 years with blood cancer, and doctors have declared that he's going to die within 2 weeks' time. They always declare, they are good at declaration only. And when this case came to me, I told them that I cannot do anything, I'm in a village, but you can telephone to one of the Sahaja Yoginis. She was in England, now she's in New York, and she will look after this case. You'll be amazed that the boy was cured completely. He came out of the hospital, he came to see me, and now he's gone back to his studies. I mean, like this we have cured many cases of blood cancer. But here we are not to cure people by any or healing anyone. That's not our job. It happens spontaneously as a byproduct of the Kundalini awakening.